Howdy, 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 everybody, and welcome to the NTT Indycar series here at wonderful Watkins, Glen. I'm Austin Knight. I am joined by Marco Bernera, and we are here in the hills of New York, right outside of Watkins, Glen, in this historic racetrack. And 3.35 miles without the bus stop chicane, the full-on classic route. Oh, it's gonna be so awesome here today. Marco, how you feeling?
Man, this is going to be fantastic. One of the classic racetracks of iRacing, and of course, the last road course of the season for us. So, pretty exciting stuff. We have had a big split. We have plenty of drivers in this race, plenty of good drivers. It's going to be an entertaining affair, and let's make sure that you don't miss it because it is a track that everyone knows beautifully well, fantastically well, and of course the absence of the bus stop, as we've seen 1 week ago in the Formula 3.5, will make it even more exciting. The drafting push to pass is going to be super important before we head for the final round of the season next week in beautiful Michigan. As here we go with Simon Bryant finishing his qualifying attempt. His first qualifying lap. I don't know if it's his first lap overall. Yes, it is, so he will go for another one, and he's fourth, 124.078.
Yeah, a lot of these road guys are hopping in onto this track. I saw a few of them racing in the IMSA series, because IMSA also here at Watkins Glen, if you caught that broadcast earlier at the very start of the week. Our Australian buddies have their own IMSA broadcast at the start of the week. That's always fun to watch those guys battle it out.
Philip Cross. Oh, the biggest surprises of the series, and sitting right now in P17. It was not a good lap the first time around. Let's see the second time around. He's 1.9 back from the race leader. And after this lap, he's up to 9th. So we are just waiting, Austin, for Simon Bryant to come and complete the grid. Pole position so far is Henry Bennett, Arjuna Kankipati is in second, Niklas Rasmussen in third, then Simon Bryant and Clark Archer.
He's a big old wiggle coming out of the boot from Simon, so I don't believe that will help him, but he's still a bit green on his time as he crosses the line. Simon Bryant improves up to third spot with a 1:23.921, 7/10 off the pole set by Henry Bennett. We have Dylan Freckleton out on track right now. This is the only car out on track.
Oh, look at that car.
Ooh, let's get it on board right here.
UK and Ireland, basic racing paint, but with spec maps added, which is always a nice combination if you ask me. And also look at these wings.
Yeah,
red.
the wings are color-coded. I love those. High downforce wings with the fire. If you're new to this series and are wondering why we're drooling over this car, there's no reason to wonder why. We just love chrome.
Exactly.
And as a person who has been to a lot of IndyCar testing and IndyCar races in real life, you could tell my favorite driver earlier on last year was Santino Ferrucci. I love chrome cars. But as qualifying ends, let's talk about something I also love is pole positions and speed. Henry Bennett takes pole with a 1:23.212 ahead of Arjuna Kantapati, Simon Bryant, Nicholas Rasmussen, Clark Archer, Thomas Zeiger, Erica Lindstrom, John Downing, Philip Cross, Alessandro Roccatello, Stefan Petart, Andreas Ike in P12, followed by Scott Sims, Andrew Z. Wood, who had a nasty crash last week at the start of the race, Robert Foley, Will Lamb, James T. Hall, Dylan Freckleton, Laura Gearhart, AJ Burton, Fernando Horta, and Robert Plumley at the back of this 22 car grid. Speaking of last week in Iowa, if you weren't here, Iowa gave us a very, very interesting race.
Yes, interesting to say the least, the complete opposite of Richmond, in the sense that we had just 2 or 3 cautions, but there were like big wrecks that involved several drivers. And
At the start of the race, also took out a few top contenders. Wood spun his tires after qualifying in second, and he came across the track and collected Simon Bryant, who was starting in third, and he's also starting in third today.
oh yes, and I'm imagining these guys getting very excited for the final road course of the season, Austin. And what a way to end up the road schedule, the road course schedule, with this fantastic racetrack. We are just waiting for no one in particular as the pace car starts moving. We have the full pace lap, and let's blimp it to enjoy. No, maybe don't. Let's go a little bit of on board with these drivers. Of course, we have Henry Bennett, number 1 of his car. Don't think he's going to win the championship. Adam Blocker seems to, we will have to wait, of course, for next week, because then next week we'll have a better idea with the drop scores. But seems like he will have to relinquish his season title. Arjuna Kankipati, nice to have him back, Austin, after missing a good portion of the season because of work. And then Simon Bryant, Niklas Rasmussen, one of the drivers who really stepped up to the plate. Clark Archer, another driver who made his way up several times from where he started to now. Thomas Ziegler in his unmistakable green car, another driver who's always there is Erka Lindstrom. Does he also race in our 3.5 series, Erka, usually,
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, he does.
And of course, John Downing, Philip Cross, who got on a race win this year. Another 3.5 driver usually is Alessandro Roccatello, and he is rounding up the top 10. But look at the names that we have here: Andrea Sykes, Scott Sims, Andrew Wood, Laura Gerhardt, of course, very consistent. AJ Burton from the I5G group is here.
Very far down the grid, starting at 20th. That's a unusual spot that we usually see Burton in there. Fernando Horta is a name, very good name that if you're a fan of GT racing on iRacing, you'll obviously know him. If you're a fan of Skippy racing and live streams and need a little track guide, it's the guy we got right now. Robert Plumley also goes by the name of Condutsi. He's live on Twitch right now, and yeah, he's a pretty funny dude.
Oh yes, his Skippy track guides always very useful, especially if you are learning the tracks. And the Skip Barber, I think, is the perfect car to learn all of the tracks. Schedule is usually very varied, and I tell you what, I might not be the fastest driver in a racing, far from it, but I learned almost all of the road courses thanks to the Skip Barber, and the same. Once you know the tracks with the Skip Barber, the same mechanics, the same. More or less, change with the car, but when you're driving other cars more powerful, you feel at home because you remember the track from the Skippy.
Skippy is a place where we all started. In real life, they do start as Skippies, but then they move up to a series that I race in that has raced on this track. The USF 2000 cars, which are basically Skip Barber cars with actual downforce and a little bit more power. But speaking of power, these Indy cars are about to let all the power go as they have one more corner to go before they are let loose and letting go as the Porsche States car starts to pull off into the pit lane. It's all in Henry Bennett's hands as we're going green flag racing here at Watkins Glen. Great clean start for the boys. 1, 2, 3, 4, very nicely through turn 1. A few drivers taking that very wide runoff area. You don't get an off track for there until you hit the grass as they fly up through the S's.
Looks like everything went well at the S's, which is usually the big trouble spot, and for the first time, they will experience the drafting here on the backstretch.
Drafting experience. They're going 3 wide down the back straight in the midfield. And whoa, that's a gaggle of cars right there.
Oh, little bit of contact there between Ziegler and I think that was Downing. More contact. More contact again. And now 3 wide. It is, I think, Kraus picking up the pieces of that mistake. And I think he's having some issues, Thomas Ziegler. Maybe some bent steering. No, it seems to be pretty straight now. But
everything looks just fine.
Mm-hmm.
John Downing a bit of a slide as they're heading into the boot and that collective. But look at this 2 wide pack racing here at the Glen. This is wonderful stuff seeing.
Yeah, a bit of a traffic jam, but in the end, all is good.
Crash.
And we have a car in the wall. It's James Hall.
Hall coming out of the boot. Big ol' wiggle. That is one crazy turn right there. Saw his back end kick out, and then he bounced off another car. Here he is, round the outside. There's AJ Burke, gets onto the curb, and then boom. Just snapped onto wood and hard hit into the guardrail. Back up front. Bennett, Kanapati, Bryant, Archer, your top 4 with Rasmussen and Lindstrom in that first place battle. And just look at that drafting they got.
And sadly for Andrew Wood, it's damage for his car. By the way, Austin, 2-stopper this race will be, as I transform myself into Master Yoda for a second. So yeah, we can expect these drivers to go hard because there is no fuel saving required for this. You have to stop twice.
Yeah, but are we going to see drivers try to just go feel no tires in one of these stops?
They were pondering about some of the drivers whether to start with a full tank or start with maybe less than that.
We might see that out front because the speeds of these guys going out front are just flying away from the rest of the group. We'll see if any of these teammate alliances work together because I know a few of these teams love working together. Shares things as Andrew Z. Wood goes off track at the boot.
Yeah, he left the pits.
Yeah, he's
left
out
the
of the
pits.
pit. Everything's fixed. Just too much speed going into there.
And some more damage, unfortunately, on that car. Oh no, Rasmussen!
Ooh.
In the wall, Rasmussen and Archer. They were side by side. Rasmussen went for the move, but I don't think either Archer was either not expecting or there was not enough space. We will see from the chopper.
Well, he's looking down the inside and just no room left for him to go. Clark Archer closed the gap, and unfortunately, they both head into the tire barrier in a very high-speed collision. Now the front pack reduced to just 3. Bennett, Kanapati, and Simon Bryant all in that fight. They have Erica Lindstrom right behind, but he's fallen off of the draft of these top 3. But that's probably a good thing in case there's an incident.
So both of these drivers had to tow back to the pits, unfortunately, so we lost 2 of the possible protagonists of this race. Let's see some of the bigger names also that are here. Andrea Syke gained 1 place, and IJ Burton, as expected, gaining 8 places. From the back, Fernando Horta, who's got a decent number of fans in the chat, has jumped up 5 places, apologies, so far.
Yeah, biggest mover so far is actually AJ Burton. He's up in P12 right now. Started all the way in 20th, but he's sitting in 12th, 8 spots up. He is doing a pretty nice job moving through the field. Also, other drivers are performing nicely. Robert Plumley and Robert Foley, as Simon Bryant is off the track. Simon Bryant's dropped down to 5th. Bryant's out. What has happened to Simon Bryant?
I think disconnection, because I don't see any kind of...
Oh, is this classic Simon Bryant?
AJ Burton has a problem.
Does that fall under commentator's curse?
By the way, Simon Bryant might be back.
Hey, there he is. Just popped back in. Nope. No,
Nope.
he's back out. Nope, he's back in now.
Okay. So Burton spun, but he didn't hit anything particularly hard, so he should be okay. Of course, he lost several places, now down to P17, behind Laura Gerhardt and Fernando Horta, Robert Plumley, and all those drivers. He was just behind Andreas Seik. Still, every time they go on the backstretch, you can see Kankipati closing in the gap, but it is simply not enough, at least so far. Let's bring up the gap so you can see half a second between first and second and 1.2 back to Bryant. And then there are, like you were saying, Erka Lidstrom in the middle of nowhere, Philip Cross also a bit in the middle of nowhere, then Ziger, Sims, Foley, Roccatello, Petrat, and the on-rushing Andreas Eich.
Yeah, Andreas Eich at the back of all this group, sitting in 11th. He's got a nice old draft ahead of him. Close up on these guys a lot as they're heading into heel turn, and heel is very it's a very tricky corner as Andreas Eich dips his wheel into the grass, because feels like a very tight 90-degree corner, but you can take so much speed, but not too much speed, or else the downhill off-camberness of it, kind of the very slight off-camber on corner 80 will just fling you off the track like we saw with his wheel. Back up front to Arjuna Kanapati. So he's chasing down Henry Bennett.
Fastest lap of the race for the California driver.
Here he comes. Buried his wing into the gearbox. Not going to dive it into this fast right-hander. As, ooh, that is John Downing going slow out of turn 1. Well, he's just missed it all by himself.
Wheel disconnection, something like that.
That might happen.
Because he went straight on.
Wheel disconnection, or just might be frustrated with himself and just try to save the car. You never know with these types of things, honestly. We've seen some very crazy things happen with cars going into catch fences. Other things happening. Simon Bryant has disappeared again into the void, but I'm pretty sure the Wizards are going to bring him back. Yes, they just did. And early pit stop. Roccatello.
So let's see his strategy.
This is definitely fuel and tires. Well, actually, I believe this will just be fuel. As we get a great view of the pit stop.
Okay, fuel and tire. Perfect. Fuel and tires for
so
him.
He's taking tires. I would take tires on the first stop. It's a replay of Erika Lindstrom heading up the S's.
Oh, sorry, it was a false positive because, of course, it told me that he passed Simon Bryant, but it was because of the connection issues. Apologies for the replay, meaningless replay, and back live.
Speaking of meaningless replays, I'm not going to say it. Nope. Sorry, ignore that. I was going to reference NASCAR at one point. Oh, big crash! Scott Sims in the wall coming out of the boot. That front wing is all sorts of jacked up. It looks like Mario's mustache.
Mamma mia! You can't say that.
I'm not saying it. He said it. The Italian said it, not the American.
With another problem then for Scott. But I'm not sure what, but it says that he went off track again. So let's see.
Did he just miss the quarter? Oh, he probably saw. Yeah,
I
he
guess
took the
it's
corner
tough to
just way
turn.
too hot. Oh,
Okay, if it was damaged earlier.
this is just that wing is pointed sideways now. Back up front, looking back from Henry Bennett to Arjuna Kanapati. Kanapati so close back there, and he could just force his way through there if he wanted to, but that matte red and black car chasing down Henry Bennett in that number 1. Simon Bryant also catching up as well to these guys up front. Remember, these guys can use DRS whenever they wanted to.
No, that's tomorrow.
I meant push to pass. I'm
That's
getting
today.
my series confused.
Well, we were here, of course, last week for the 3.5, no? So
I know that's why it slipped out of my mind. Kanapati, big old run coming down the back straight, but he's lifting off right now and keeping that same spot. Smart driving from Kanapati.
pretty identical lap times, as you can see. As now Simon Bryant is down to 9th, but because he disappeared, of course.
And Nicholas Rasmussen has posted in the chat that was his bad. He thought he would get a better entry speed into the corner and get up at least alongside of Clark Archer. My bad. I will learn from it. Thank you, Nicholas, for letting us know what's happened, and thank you for taking responsibility. Something you rarely see on iRacing.
Absolutely, and we know, of course, he switched to this car recently after the demise of the MP4-30. Therefore, has a nice big cloud cover as come onto the racetrack. Speaking of cloud covers, it's the moment where we check in with our resident weather expert, Austin Knight.
It is 2 o'clock in the afternoon here in lovely Watkins, Glen, New York. The skies have a great old temperature with partial cloud skies of 76 degrees Fahrenheit. It's 96 degrees on track. Perfect day to watch a great old motor race here in lovely New York. Back up to the boys in the booth.
Absolutely, and we have seen plenty of times getting very close is Kankipati, but doesn't want to you know, I think he's happy where he is right now, saving fuel. It's a bit difficult, of course, because Bryant there keeps disappearing and reappearing. Bryant is having a risk because if you disappear the moment you go basically across the start-finish line, sometimes it can happen that the sim doesn't register your lap. It was much more prominent as a problem in the past, but it might still happen now, and you know, you might suddenly find yourself 1 lap down. Especially on the ovals, it's a bit more prominent because, for example, I remember once a guy I was racing against in Bristol disappeared for 1 Bristol laps, which is, you know, very quick, and he all of a sudden was 1 lap down because the simulator didn't record his lap because of connection issues. Lapped car up there is John Downing. You can see the guys coming for him
as well, and he's providing a good slipstream for Henry Bennett to use. And Kanapati, he's been on Bennett's bumper this entire time, heading down the back straight. But now that Bennett had that little bit of draft, Kanapati can't get as close as he can. This might play into Bennett's hands. So heading into the toe, Kanapati forced to go out wide. John Downey holding down the inside for his teammate. And Simon Bryant gained a lot of time on Kanapati, who is back in the fight for first. And we got a slow car. That is Andrew Wood.
He's just in front of these guys, by the way, and he's got certainly some damage. The hit against the wall there, against the car of James Hall, and then of course after the pit stop he went into the wall, entering the boot section. So of course, is dealing with some issues. These guys will catch up to him relatively soon. Top 3 still the same. Let's see as Andrea Saik goes into the pits. Get out of traffic probably. Not the starting position he wanted, but with this move, Austin, I think he might get some clean air and maybe push hard for the second stint.
Yeah, Wood with an early pit stop. Let's see his strategy. Not the best pit stop. Very early. Actually stopped before it goes up on all 4 tires, taking tires and fuel.
As we have seen last week, this pit exit can be tricky, even for the best. Andrea Saik makes no mistakes, and he goes out as we jump on board with AJ Burton, getting past Laura Gerhardt here on the backstretch. Burton went up into P12, then spun, now back into P12. After some laps, his next target should be Fernando Horta for Visamundo Grip Racing from Brazil, and he is having a decent race. Started 10 places back from where he is right now. Andrew Wood heads for the pits, therefore he won't be a problem for the race leaders who go by right now. For oh, look at Kanki Patti, 24.619. Rey Mysterio, the fastest lap of the race. Sorry, I had to do that. Oh, Kroos.
Philip
Wow.
Cross says, I'm from the 615.
Yes.
And takes P5. But new fast lap sits in the 5th place car of Philip Cross. No draft around him, too. So that is insanely quick.
.615 is the area code in Nashville.
Heck, I'm all good with Nashville, Tennessee. Not Phil Cross. Where is he from?
See if we have his club. Mid-South.
Very possible that he might be from Tennessee.
As AJ Burton went past Fernando Horta while we were talking about area codes, which is always an interesting subject to talk about. Fastest lap of the race, Henry Bennett, 24.55. Erka Lindstrom is in the pits.
Okay, he's from Wisconsin. Cross is from Wisconsin.
That shouldn't count as Mid-South, right? Like it's...
I believe he's been on iRacing for 7 years, and when he joined in, he was in the Mid-South.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, Andrea Saik! In the wall, hard.
Coming out of the boot, like I said earlier in the broadcast, it is a very tricky corner. Here is Brian at the end of the boot, and yeah, just too much speed into that outside line. Just no wall. It's just a big old spin.
I hate that corner.
It is very tricky, especially in GT cars with not a lot of downforce, especially here, but especially, I'm going to be saying especially a lot now, but there's going to be a lot of marbles at the outside of these corners. As you can just see the amount of tire wear already, as this is Fernando Horta, the fan favorite, coming out of the pit lane.
See what happened here as Bryant goes into the pits from 3rd place. Oh!
A little bit too excited on the gas pedal. Just as one of his fans asked to show onboard camera Horta. I'm pretty sure it wasn't not the best onboard that they wanted to see. Onboard Canapata going wide onto the curbs. He's still chasing down Henry Bennett. Now, these two guys, they have flown away from Philip Cross and Simon Bright. Where is Simon Bright? Did he go into the pits?
Yes, pits and
Yes, he
cleaner. He's got someone behind him, is Lidstrom, but he's got a decent advantage. Therefore, he should be able to put in some good laps as Kankipati is still getting close, but not close enough. As I think the first pit stop is getting closer and closer for these guys. Let's see the pit stop counter. Top 7 didn't stop, so same for Burton, who's sitting in P10, and for Freckleton, who's sitting in P13. Everyone else went to the pits at least one time. Of course, as Kankipati 24.481, some of them went into pits for repairs. So an interesting pit entry, so the back end of it by Thomas Ziegler. Maybe last second decision? Let's see.
Very wide, very...
Ah, no, it was the...
Holy dick, scrub the inside wall.
Stefan Petrat is also in, same club as Thomas Ziegler. They at CH. AJ Burton screams past both of them, but he will have to stop regardless. No real fights on the track. The closest duo is the lead duo here of Bennett and Kankipati, but like I said, so far it's a waiting game for both of these drivers as their first stop gets closer and closer. Philip Cross in third, Robbie Foley in fourth, and Will Lamb is sitting in fifth place so far. Let's see if there will be any taker right now between the two leaders for their first pit stop. Oh yeah.
No, they're both going in at the exact same time. I believe Canapati or Bennett would do some mind games, but they're both heading into the pits at exactly the same time. Let's see what their pit strategy is. As Philip Cross also heading in, and fourth place, Rob Foley is also heading in. So all the leaders heading in at the exact same time. And, ooh, a little bit too far in the stall for Canapati, but he just made it work. They both go up on the tire jacks, taking tires and fuel. Very short fuel stop. Canapati looked like he got a faster stop than Bennett.
Gotta be careful here.
He did. Canapati half a second faster than Bennett in the pit stalls, but
and
he
has
had
a
to
great
get off
run.
the gas. He had a great run.
Look
and
at that.
He's got an even better run right now. Coming out of the S's down the back straight. Bennett defending onto the inside. Canapati standing in that clean air. No DAS system for these Indy cars to warm up the tires these fast. I had to do it.
And of course, since tomorrow we are on the iRacing Esports Network, you're going to use it again, right?
I'm going to avoid it. I saved most of the jokes for today. Side by side, Petard and Ike going side by side into this fast right-hander. We saw this not work out the best on lap 3, but it was a great pass for Ike down the inside. Stefan Petard.
Austin, in the meantime, everyone stopped for their first stop, so we have a clearer picture of where everyone is. After one round of stops, it's Henry Bennett leading the way in front of Arjuna Kankipati, sitting in second place. There he is. Third place is Erka Lidstrom. Then fourth is Philip Cross, and fifth is Thomas Ziegler. Sixth place then for Robbie Foley. Seventh for Andrea Saik, there he is. Then Stefan Petrat following closely Alessandro Roccatello in 9, and the top 10 is closed by Will Lamb from the great state, well, not state, the great, either North or South Carolina.
What were you going for right there?
The great state of, but I didn't know if he's from North or South Carolina, so I stopped there. They're both great states.
Region of Carolinas.
Yes. The great club.
I wanted to say great. There is one club that's above all the clubs.
That's Texas.
Yes, it is Texas. As, oh, Dylan Freckleton that chrome car taking a big hit into the wall and spinning across the track. I'm counting about 3 spins based on the tires. Big spin, get out to the curb. Ooh!
That's going to be a long repair. In the meantime, Kankipati must have made a mistake. Nothing major, because there is nothing on the event viewer on the live timing page, which of course you can click below and find it if you want to basically enjoy it in its full capabilities at the mercy of your mouse. But Kankipati must have made a mistake somewhere, because he's dropped to 0.8 of a second in this past lap. Oh, Sam Fitzpatrick is in the
UK9's best club. Come on, Sam.
7 times.
Texas is larger than UK9 combined.
And you have to, you know, poor Sam, you have to understand him. He's basically, he will be forced to do at least 1 broadcast per day. Oh, Kankipati!
Oh!
Wide.
Well, there's another mistake for Canapati as he falls back from Henry Bennett.
He's pushing hard. That's and Bennett got the fastest second sector of the race in this lap, so he knew he had to push hard. Limits
the
damage.
heel once more. That
So
off-color piece of track, you think it has more grip, but it's actually kind of slippier if you just get all 4 wheels onto there. And Henry Bennett, new fast lap 1:24.213, just 0.003 of a second off from the best area code.
Think about poor Sam, because today he had to do AOSC Super Series with me this morning. Then we had to record the Apex Weekly podcast earlier. Tomorrow we'll do Euro V8 together. And then, of course, on Sunday...
Let's deal with me and you.
Yeah, he will have to deal with both of us.
For 6
and of course,
hours.
Yes, and we did Sim Racers World on Wednesday, so you know, and today I got some very nice messages during the AOSC broadcast in the race chat, so you know, he's a bit jealous. But don't tell him. Hopefully, he's not listening.
He can hear you right now.
So Freckleton is back in the pits right now. Battle for the lead has stopped a bit, and of course Bennett used at the perfect moment when Kankipati made his mistake. He set the fastest lap of the race. So now the gap is up to almost 4 seconds, as you can see on the left side of your screen. Closest fight in the field right now is this one: Alessandro Roccatello versus Stefan Petrat. See, he's saying he didn't hear that, which I think is code for I did hear that, and I'm going to actively... Well, he's lucky, because on Sunday I do mostly camera work, and I just join in for the pearls of wisdom during the 6-hour event, so when you go and grab your Coca-Cola and whatnot.
Oh yeah, this reminded me, I need to do that.
We also need, we also need a little bit of history about Wisconsin, of course, on Sunday, especially the very important cheese production that's the proud of Wisconsin.
I'll tell you facts about Elkhart Lake, since that's the closest city. I'm not going to talk about Green Bay and Packers at all, because I have a certain hatred for that organization.
Sam is a big expert on Wisconsin as well, so it's going to be a very fun broadcast, that one.
Champagne, yes. On board Alessandro Roccatello as he's trying to chase down Petard and get around him, and they're in the boot right now. He had a great run coming down the back straight, but going through the toe right now, he had a bit of a scarce entry. It looked like he tried to cut the corner a little bit too tightly, got onto the curb, and that sent him out wide.
Sam is talking about Champagne because I thought for years that bridge that you have there on the backstretch, it was actually, you know, an alcoholic drink, and those were not the cheesos, but the bubbles. So it was a little bit of the bubbly, but no, it's. I learned when I did that broadcast with Sam 1 year ago, I think that no, that was cheese, not champagne.
But the moment ahead, we're going to be talking about Watkins Glen, New York. The original Watkins Glen GP actually was not at this track, as here comes Roccatello. Big ol' run going down to the inside. He's ahead by Carly. Almost tried to cut off the nose right there. Petart now going for the switchback. Side by side they go, heading into the boot. Petart going to have to go a little bit wide from Roccatello. And here comes Petart looking into the toe. Just on the back end, going for a wider line. A switchback going for the speed off the exit. This is where Roccatello is very slow at. And here comes Petart making that statement very true. But as they head into the heel, it's just a battle of the late breakers. And Roccatello won that battle hand over fist. So we're exiting the boot right now. Petart behind.
Oh, that was Andrew Wood. Another bad race for him, bad couple of weeks, and another poor result. He will be disappointed, of course. It all went south after he was the unlucky victim in that collision that James Hall had with the Armco barrier on lap 1.
Yeah, he had a lot of bad luck. 2 weeks in a row. First week at Iowa, unfortunately, was on the wrong setup and spun out the tires on the start, and unfortunately collected the cars next to him. Let's see if Petart can return the favor down the inside. Side by side they go, swinging it around the outside though. Roccatello has the speed, but it's going to be Petart back into P8.
And of course, I have to really thank Sam because he made this fantastic camera pack for the Watkins Glen racetrack, so all the views are... I'm sorry if I sound like I am speechless, but When did we lose Bryant?
Bryant was
Did he
Bryant
disconnect?
Was a lap down. He disconnected, and then he went into the. He was in the pits, and then I believe he disconnected while he's in the pits. And I think what you were talking about with the lap down, he was just in the pits and was just disconnected in there for a while and just tried to fix it or something. I'm not sure when exactly he fell down, but he was a. Oh, he did spin. Okay, thank you, Matthias.
So pit
One
stops.
of followers in chat as Scott Sims is dragging a broken car into the pit lane.
Roccatello prefers to pit and get clean air. He was the first stopper, of course, in the race. First, like, scheduled stop. Therefore, his strategy is complete now. He rejoins in front of Laura Gerhardt and behind Fernando Orta. They're the front, gap 2.7 seconds now. Last lap was 0.2 of a second quicker from Kankipati. Kankipati, this race is not over yet. And look at this fantastic lap, 24.0 against a 24.6 of Bennett. Fastest lap of the race. Austin, this race is not over. This extra stop will provide another layer of strategy and possibly a lifeline for Arjuna Kankipati, especially if he keeps on putting laps like this. We are getting closer to going below the 24s, which is absolutely crazy, especially because the track is getting a bit warmer now, so tires will be more, it will be a bit less grip, especially the more they go into the run, but of course the tanks will get lighter and lighter. This race is not over.
Yeah, race definitely not over. Battle for the lead, 2-second gap, but like you said, we have another set of pit stops for these two. Will varying strategies help or hurt in this situation? Do you want to go for tires in another full run, or do you want to risk it and just go for fuel? We shall see. Because in a few laps, they will go into the pits. They went into the pits on lap 16, so they can go all the way. They'll
look at
probably gonna go
Kankipati.
to lap 28, and ooh, Erica Lidstrom heading into the
24.0.
pits. And a new fast...
24.0.
Wow.
And 24.7 for Bennett. Either Bennett wants to try and go until the end without stopping again, but I don't think it's possible. Or, you know, he had to contend with some traffic. He goes past now of Scott Sims, but those are some crazy lap times. As Erka Lidstrom, like you were saying, from Finland, heads for the pits. And this race still has to give us some surprises. I can feel that Austin. Front of Will Lamb, behind Stefan Petrat is Erka Lidstrom, but is looking good for third place. Drivers who have stopped their progression a bit, was expecting more. Andrea Syke, AJ Burton, here they are, 9th and 10th. I was expecting a bit more out of them, but so far they are lagging. Almost a minute behind is Burton, more than a minute behind is Andreas Ike. Let's see this lap. The difference between Bennett.
Fastest car out there on track. We're going to see a steamer of a lap right now. Bennett coming across the line as he sets a 1:24.013, saying, "I'll take those fast lap back." Kanapati, you can have P2 because he's also stuck behind Scott Sims.
Yeah, it took a bit of time for him to get past Sims. I thought it was going to be quicker. Let's see sector by sector. Which is not this, but this.
Big loss of time going through Sector 2 for Kanapati. And when I say big, it's just very minuscule, but here in racing, a 10th is forever, and a second is just days away from the other car.
Sector 3, 20.3, almost equal between the pair of them. This track in iRacing.
Still overall gain.
It has 5 sectors as Fernando Horta goes into the pits. Sector 4 then, 2 tenths gained.
Bennett staying out. I'm expecting these guys head into the pits this lap or lap 32, but their pit window has definitely opened.
So in the end, he bags 3/10 of a second over Harry Bennett's Arjuna Kankipati, gap down to 2 seconds. Let's, if it's okay with you, I would keep an eye on this duel in this lap as well. Sector 1, 22.9, 1/10 and a half gained. So that in this sector is where usually Kankipati loses a bit. Sector 2, but apart from that, he is usually pretty much quicker. Sector 2 and 3, where Kankipati suffers, but the rest, it's more or less Kankipati's hunting ground, and he closes in. I see a puff of smoke from the back of Bennett's car. Maybe he is slightly locked up a wheel. Sector 3, 20.2, Kankipati loses again, and this could be a good lap for Bennett if he can limit the damage here in the final 2 sectors, the British driver.
I also want to point out something I've discovered. A lot of drivers prefer the very high downforce setup around this track, even though most of Watkins Glen is made up of straights. They want that downforce as Bennett's going into the pits right now, and Kanapati follows him on lap 28.
So much for that comparison. Let's see.
I'll take the Powerball numbers today. Predicted that one well. Sam is begging for TV2. Well, Kanapati into the pits. Bennett didn't go up onto the jack. No, Bennett did go up onto the jacks.
He did, yeah.
it was just already up onto the decks as Kanapati did. The heel just made it a bit too confusing as it's a tricky pit exit. And they have 13th place behind them. That is Scott Sims and everyone else on their tail. Well, actually, that's Lord Gearhart and John Downing. But Kanapati, a lot of time lost behind Bennett in the pit stop. 4 seconds lost. Disastrous for him. And he's going to have to climb tooth and nail to get past Bennett up at the front. But taking the lead over right now is Thomas Zeiger, as this is a wonderful battle heading up through the S's side by side. Plumley and Petard. Ooh, what a move by Plumley. Swung it around the outside.
Yeah, Stefan just came out of the pit, so he must have a bit cold tires. So Plumley using warmer tires to get a bit more momentum to get the job done. Here is your leader then, your new leader, Thomas Ziegler, of course, like you were saying, enjoying a nice gap. He will have to stop again, 5.7, and there's basically 1.8 seconds now between the virtual first and the virtual second. On track has a little bit more cloud cover. Els helping these drivers, and here we go. Petrat coming back at Plumley.
Start swinging it into the heel. Great move on the brakes. Plumley tried to go for a switchback and try to outjudge the exit.
Final stop for Burton.
Here comes Burton. I believe, Marco, you have a message for you in chat.
Plumley is also in. I promise you he's in the pits.
And Andrew Woods off the track.
Man, what a bad day.
Bunning out of the heel.
I think... No, he's continuing. Hopefully it's a safe rejoin. Thomas Ziegler comes into the pit, so Bennett will take the lead once again.
Big ol' slide got into the grass. That sent the car facing the wrong way, but thankfully no one else was involved there. Zeiger's in the pits, and Bennett and Kanapati with Robbie Foley.
Oh man, look at this car.
And a most beautiful car I have ever seen in my life sits up in P3. Oh, yes. Oh, say, can you see indeed. Nice of you to get off of that car before I just start reciting the national anthem and everything.
I mean, I'd say that the slow motion was more than enough.
Yes, it was. I'm saving that as a GIF. Or GIF, if you're one of those people.
GIF, yes, that's the correct pronunciation.
You're weird. Kanapati on the back of Simon Bryant. He's actually gained a lot of time. Don't know why I just said Simon Bryant, though. That's Henry Bennett. Yes, Foley does need to pit. He went into the pits on lap 16. Expecting him to go into the pits. Right now, we got another car stopped off. That's Wood out, and Wood is out of the track. Wood crashed, and he's went back into the pits.
Oh, this is a good chance, Austin.
Here comes Kanapati. Big ol' run, looking for the outside. Side by side, drag race down the back straight. Kanapati getting his nose just ahead. Can the California driver swing it around the outside? But Bennett's got the inside line. There's still side by side. Number 1 versus number 6. 6 down the inside into the boot. And new leader of the race, Arjuna Katapati.
What a pass from the California driver, of course, representing the great country of India as well. And that was a move that he waited for all race long. He saved his stuff, he made a couple of mistakes, but he was always there. And now, of course, a completely different race starts because he is now the hunted, and he will need to pull away from Bennett as quick as possible.
Total sector 4.
Wow. Does Bennett have an answer to this? What do you think?
Well, Bennett's going to have the draft, so he can definitely be in contention to stay with him. But Arjuna Kanapati has been studying Bennett in all of his runs, so he can definitely just stay with him as the most beautiful car goes into the pits. We're going back live with Kanapati and Bennett. Just look back, 8/10 separate them already down the back straight, and you see Kanapati taking that tighter line to swing him back outside, trying to break that draft away from Henry Bennett. Was this his strategy all along, to break it away in the final few laps?
Out of the pits comes Rob Foley then, and he will sit in 6th place in front of Andreas Seik and behind Philip Kroos. So Erka Lidstrom looking good for the podium. Only one battle on the track right now as we're about to hit the hour mark of the race. Don't know if we'll get to the hour mark before the end of the race. That's how bad my maths are. There's a lap car in front of these two great competitors. Is Fernando Horta, who was very humble in the beginning of the race, basically noticing how we just made it into the top split. The lowest I rated driver, and still has 2,700. Speaking of which, let's bring up the strength of field in glorious green, 3.5k for this race. Gap down 2.7. Let's see now on the straight. Of course, Kankipati will enjoy the draft of the Brazilian driver, and he should be able to dispatch him fairly quickly.
Yeah, Kanapati swinging around the outside. Great, easy for him. Last 5 laps here at the Glen between Bennett and Kanapati. But Kanapati is already 1.7 seconds ahead of Henry Bennett. He just turned on the jets and left him.
Bennett lost a ton of time on the straight. I cannot believe it's just the draft of Horta, because must have made a mistake somewhere, not in major, but I mean, he lost 1 second basically. The gap was 0.7 seconds, 0.7 of a second coming out of turn 1. And all of a sudden, at the end of the backstretch, the gap was 1.7 seconds. Now the gap is up to 2 seconds. Of course, now Bennett having to dispatch in the boot section of the lapped car, even though Horta diligently moved aside. As another lap starts, it's lap 35 out of 39. And that lap, wow.
Kanapati, 1:23.92. And Bennett did a 1:24.760, almost an entire second difference. The gap is 2 whole seconds between Kanapati and Bennett, and I can guarantee that Kanapati used some push to pass while in the draft. Because that's the only foreseeable explanation that I can get out of how he did that.
And of course I said something stupid, because of course Fernando Horta is not, he said he was barely in, not it was the last car in, of course, because we have 22 cars and he's number 20, so still made it through by the skin of his teeth, but still happy to have him here, new name, new faces. Of course we love to have drivers that join us. Gap now down to 1.7 seconds, because Kankipati had to go past Robert Plumley. Not true, he's going past now of Robert Plumley. And now Henry Bennett should do the same.
And Bennett's got 2 laps cars ahead of him.
Okay, so must be someone else in between.
It's just one.
It's just one, okay.
They have the similar paint scheme, and for some reason I see 2 instead of 1. do not commentate cross-eye, you will start just seeing random things. That's the curse of having 3 monitors up. Bennett all up in the draft of Plumley, and he is set free. They are now separated by 1.8 seconds, and now 1.9. This is going to be a very interesting fight because Bennett is closing, and we've seen that Bennett's been faster through the boot section, but on the straights, Canapati's car is much, much quicker. They're both using the same downforce package, so they must be using varying wing angles.
And we have seen, of course, Kankipati has been prone to a couple of mistakes today. He hasn't made any since his second stop. He has put the hammer down and he is now looking to bring home the car. If he does that mistake-free, this race is his. Henry Bennett has 2 ops only, and these ops are to push hard and force him into a mistake. Let's see this lap, 24.0 and basically identical. So
Henry
a very,
Bennett.
very small gain for Bennett.
Purple, sector 5 for Bennett. Sector 5 is just 2 turns, but to go purple in that little short section does show a lot of speed that Bennett has. By 0.2, he was faster than Canapati through the corners there. So on board with Bennett as he's chasing out Canapati in these last 3 laps. And for a track that's 3 miles long, it doesn't feel like a 3 mile long track because they're putting in a 1 minute 23 time, 1 minute times here, and that just shows you the speed of Watkins Glen. It's
Bennett.
a big track, but the speeds is very short.
Purple sector 3 for Bennett. Of course, in this view that they are reversed, so yeah, Bennett with his personal best, 23.9. This is not over just yet. If he gets into the draft range with 2 laps to go, this could be a very, very, very spicy end to the proceedings. Let's see the first sector then, where usually Kankipati is stronger. And he is this lap as
draft.
well.
Bennett's in the draft. They didn't fly away from each other, but Bennett was being sucked in by just a bit, and Bennett is in the draft of Canapati. He is 1.3 seconds behind him and gaining as they're heading into the toe. We've had crazy finishes on the ovals, but I think we're about to see another one added to the list for the first time on the road courses, where we're going to have a very close race until the finish, because we are almost 1 lap to go here at Watkins Glen.
Bennett really suffers on the final part of the boot, but then he is quicker in everywhere else apart from the first sector. And here we go, Sale la Blanca here at Watkins Glen.
1.2 seconds separates Canapati and Bennett. All Canapati has to do is keep his car on the track. Bennett is going to be pushing like all he can do. Push to pass on the last lap for Canapati would be preferred to try to pull away from Bennett, but Bennett will also be using push to pass as they're flying down the back straight. Draft is being used here. 1.1 seconds as they're heading into the boot. Bennett's got a great run going through there. Bennett coming out of the toe, 9/10 and gaining. Heading into the heel, the trickiest part. We've seen Canapati make a mistake here before. He's taking it very nicely. Bennett, though, risked it a little bit. He's fallen down to his second. Canapati, 2 corners to go. He won it off of strategy and just swinging around and surprising Bennett with 1 corner to go and taking the win here in New York in the final road course of 2020 Season 1. It is Arjuna Katapati with Henry Bennett putting it. What the?
Wow, 23.7 flat. Not enough, but what a fantastic final lap. Bennett was giving everything. And as Sam Fitzpatrick is saying, maybe with one more lap, it would have been a photo finish. Congratulations to Erka Lindstrom, gets a fantastic podium spot. Thomas Ziegler and Philip Kroos round up your top 5. As we are seeing other drivers come home. Robbie Foley in the patriotic livery gets 6th. And in the end, a good recovery drive from Andreas Seik, 7th. And
great battle for the lead.
Fantastic
that we saw
fight
today. So we're watching all the drivers finish up their fights. Got a good old battle for P9 between Lamb and Rockatello as they come across the line. Scott Sims dragging his car across the line. Very tough race for him today. And okay, Scott, don't need to give me a heart attack right there. But great win today for Arjuna Kanapati. Was in second all day. After the first pit stop, he started falling back. Went into the pits. Lost 2 whole seconds. 2 whole seconds to 4 seconds, according to some people. And then brought that back to get ahead of Henry Bennett to take the win here today at the Glen. Bennett in second. Lindstrom in third. Followed by Ziegler, Kraus, Robbie Foley, Andreas Ike, Stefan Pitar, Will Lamb, Alessandro Roccatello, AJ Burton, Scott Sims, Robert Plumley, Fernando Horta, Laura Gerhardt, John Downing, Simon Bryant, Andrew Z. Wood in 18th, followed by Dylan Freckleton, Nicholas Rasmussen, Clark Archer, and James T. Hall in 22nd.
What a way to round up the road course season, Austin, of course. And now we wait for potential interviews. But before we talk to our drivers, what can we expect from Michigan in 1 week's time?
Oh, you know how he finished an auto club last season?
Yes.
Expect that.
And of course, the track being repaved is going to be much smoother than Auto Club, possibly with a bit cooler weather. So I think you agree with me that if the combination is right, we can expect almost a pack race.
It's definitely going to be close to a pack race. I would be surprised if it wasn't a pack race. If we go green flag for the entire race, it will for sure be a strategy race, and which is something we all want to see here because we remember what happened in that historic Indy 500 with that famous last lap incident, which we definitely do not want again. Because we're all fans of clean racing here.
Absolutely. And I think we have our race winner ready for an interview with us.
Yes, we do. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into the interview room, Arjuna Katapati. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. That was a bit more stressful race than I was expecting, but very glad to get the win in the end.
Yeah, the opening laps, you just stayed on the back of Henry Bennett for most of the race. And coming out of the second pit stop, you were just a bit farther behind than you wanted to be. And then it got ahead of him and just stayed ahead of him in the last few laps. Was that your strategy? Just stay behind and steady?
Yeah, me and Henry, when we were talking right before the race, just, after qualifying, we kind of discussed that we knew that we were pretty similar on pace, but the nature of this track, especially not running the chicane, the draft is very strong, and so we were conscious that we wanted to try and break away a little bit from everyone. So I played it smart at the start, just slotted in right behind Henry and tried to pull away from the main pack. And once I made that mistake and lost 3 or 4 seconds, then kind of kicked me into drive, and I came into this race a little under the weather and feeling not so confident. But after that, I just told myself that I had to push and got back onto Henry's rear wing, and we had a I wasn't sure if the pass was going to be so easy, but it came pretty quickly, and then I was just able to get a bit of a gap and hold it. So yeah, it was not a smooth, but definitely a fun race.
Well, take the win while under the weather. I should start calling you Michael Jordan because that was a dominating performance. Last lap, you put in your best lap of a 1:23.9 with Bennett putting in a 1:23.7 purple lap, fast lap of the race. On the last lap going into there, you had the lead heading about 1.2 seconds. Were you just focused on keeping the car on track, or were you just pushing like absolute madness?
A little of both. I knew that I had one push to pass, and no matter what, I would go through the carousel at least, half a second in front of Henry, and I knew I was quicker in the boot. But he closed on me pretty drastically on that lap. Combination of push to pass and a great draft. So definitely had me sweating a bit going into the last few turns. But yeah, no, it was definitely a little bit of managing the situation, but also pushing as hard as possible.
All right. Well, next week we are heading into Michigan. What are your thoughts into that race?
Last race of the season. It hopefully will get participation, kind of like this race, because it was great to have another, strong field for a great track. So it should be fun, and should hopefully be strong for Power Slide as well. It was good to have Henry back racing this week and get a Power Slide 1-2, and maybe next week we can get a 1-2-3 if we get one more driver to sign up.
All right. Well, before we let you go, anyone you want to shout out?
Yeah, just everyone on the Power Slide team and also Artifact. Their support is part of the reason why I'm able to drive so quickly, and I definitely appreciate every single one of them.
All right. Thank you. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
And now let's have a chat with Henry Bennett then. Second place for him. Hello Henry, welcome to the booth. How was your race?
I mean, second is okay, but can't help but be a little disappointed. Midway through the race, I had the lead, comfortable lead. Arjun had made a mistake; he was 4 seconds back, so I should have been able to maintain a good pace and bring it home. But I just was cruising a bit too much and let Arjuna catch that gap back up. And once he was with me, I didn't engage attack mode quickly enough. But yeah, at the very end of the race, I managed to find the pace to catch him back up. And maybe if I'd done that 3-4 laps earlier, I could have had a chance at getting the lead back. But yeah, hats off to Arjuna for. I think he had a bit of the red mist and used his anger at himself to find that extra bit of speed to catch that gap. But yeah, hats off to him for a great race and yeah, great comeback.
Yeah, I think it was a very up and down race. I mean, after the second pit stop, you were able to get a decent gap. Then, of course, Arjuna closed the gap back. Then again, you close it back. Of course, it's easy to say one more lap would have been different, but it was very entertaining. And how this puts an end to the road course season. How do you feel about it? And are you ready for next week's race, the final race of the season at Michigan?
This is always a part-time season for me. Yeah, mainly just doing a few of the bigger road tracks. But yeah, relatively happy with my performances. I've let a few wins go and a few more mistakes than I'd be happy with in general. But yeah, it's been a good season, great tracks. I probably won't be there next week. Yeah, staying away from the big ovals this season. But yeah, looking forward to next season, the even better tracks. Yeah, maybe even going for the title again. We'll see.
Well, thank you very much, Harry. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
As ever, everyone at Powerslide for their great work with the setups, and Arjuna for a great race. And of course, you guys, yeah, put on a great show every week. I look forward to watching whether I've raced or not. Yeah, and you've really made a big impact on the IndyCar community. So thanks.
Awesome, thank you very much, Bennett, Harry Bennett. Congratulations once again on the second place, and well, judging by what you said, catch you next season then.
Now
Austin.
we have, yes. Now we have AJ Burton. Howdy, AJ. How you doing?
Hey guys, doing good. How are you all?
I'm doing fantastic. I believe Marco's doing fantastic as well, right?
Oh yeah.
All right, we're all doing fantastic. How was that race?
I had a lot of fun. I started at the back because I kind of rushed into the race, didn't really practice, so didn't want to be a bit of a threat to anyone starting towards the midfield. So just thought I'd go out and see if I could make some passes, make up some spots, and ultimately I think I made up probably 8 or 9 spots. So I'm really happy with that.
I'm glad you're happy with that because you also tied for the biggest mover in the race, up 9 spots. Well, yeah, it's a 3-way tie between Robbie Foley, Robert Plumley, and you for the biggest mover of the race. So you're gonna have to fight him out of the parking lot to see who's gonna be the actual biggest mover. But you went up all the way through the midfield, and then you had an incident, and then you did it again. So not only did you move up through the field 9 times, you did it twice. So that's impressive on your part. Talk us through the race.
Yeah, I had an incident probably 3 or 4 laps in. I made a really good start by my own reckoning. I think I probably was up 5 spots at the end of the first lap, including a good
7.
move around the outside into the carousel. 7,
It was
wow.
up 7,
And
yeah.
and then sort of exiting the carousel about lap 4, I just lost the rear and spun. Was lucky not to hit the wall, but obviously undid all the good work of the first few laps. And like I say, had to do it again. Made it fun, enjoyed it, so I can't complain.
Well, I'm glad you can't complain because this was the last road course of the season. And honestly, what a way to end out the road course season with a smile on your face. But now we head into the final round of the season at Michigan. What do you look for into that race?
Oh, that's one of my favourite tracks, so that's going to be an absolute blast. I'll have to watch out for the temperatures because if it's too cool, it'll probably make it a bit of a pack race, which will make the whole thing a bit of a lottery. But I think we've got a good car for that, and I'm hoping to run towards the front and maybe take a victory. I know I had a good car at Pocono and maybe failed at getting the best out of the result for that race, so got to redeem myself and hopefully take the win in Michigan.
All right, so you're saying it to all the bettors at home, put money on you. Got it.
I'm saying we've got a good car.
All right. Well, before we let you go and prepare to make that car even better for Michigan, anyone you want to thank?
Just the guys at I5G, you guys for bringing us the races. It's always good to watch them back, and when I'm not there, watch it. So yeah, thanks to you guys in particular.
Thank you very much, AJ, and you have yourself a good old week.
Cheers, you too.
And one more interview with Scott Sims. Hello, Scott.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing fine. How about you? How was your race?
It started off pretty fun. I had a lot of fun the first 2 laps or so. Seems like it was getting pretty wild. Everybody was 4 wide for like the first lap and a half, and I think somehow I gained a lot of positions in the first lap and a half, and then I I was following the car in front of me going to the exit of the boot, and I took his wide line, and I just didn't respect the boot. That's you got to respect the boot when you come here. It's just probably not many turns with less grip on iRacing than the exit of the boot here at Watkins Glen.
I absolutely agree with you. I've been a victim of that corner many times, so I feel for you, man. But in the end, a good recovery drive up to 12th place. So, do you leave and you gain 27 A rating for your troubles? Do you
Yep.
leave the track happy or not?
I definitely was excited. I mean, the first part of the race was pretty exciting, and I was trying to put everything I had into it, and I was going for it all today. I didn't really wasn't trying to be too conservative early. I was trying to get everything I could and hold what I could, and I think I enjoyed having fun. That's pretty much all I was going for, and I was able to recover and remain on the lead lap after repairing my wing, and overall, I mean, I enjoyed just coming home, finishing the race, and trying to track down some people.
So, will you be racing next week in Michigan?
I'm going to try to. Michigan's really fun. I mean, Auto Club, I think I like a little bit better, but they're pretty close. They're both really probably two of the most fun oval tracks for IndyCar is Michigan and Auto Club. Like driving them, they're two of the most fun. So that's a great season finale actually. Couldn't ask for a better track for a season finale.
Awesome, Scott. Well, it was a pleasure to have you here racing with us. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
I guess you guys, you guys have definitely increased the strength of field for IndyCar this season. I know that I was comfortably in the top split with a 2.5, and and now I'm barely making it in the top split with a same I rating that I have been, and so I think you guys have been bringing a lot of good um, what's it called or just you guys have been bringing a lot of better drivers in here, and the competition's getting really good, and so yeah, thanks for you guys for doing all this, and my team ASN Esports, and yeah.
Awesome, thank you very much, and catch you hopefully next week then.
Yep.
That was Scott Simpson. Of course, we kindly remind you to keep following us on social media, here on YouTube especially, and that we will be back tomorrow at 18 GMT for the Euro V8s, and later at 22 GMT for Formula 3.5. Austin, as per usual, take it away.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us here at wonderful Watkins, Glen. I've been joined by the one, the only Marco Bobanera, who is up there in the broadcasting booth with all these fancy camera packs brought to us by Sam Fitzpatrick, who was in the chat. I believe he's left now. But other than that, I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a great night.